I'm Reinhard Heinisch. I'm Professor of Comparative Austrian Politics at the University of Salzburg in Austria, and with my colleague Diana Hofmann we've compiled the report on Austria. Austria matters because it is arguably the West European country with the closest relationship with the Putin administration, and it continues to be highly dependent on the delivery of Russian natural gas despite persistent efforts at diversification, which is still around 70%. Austrian business has had a disproportionate stake in the Russian economy, particularly in manufacturing, but also in real estate and the banking sector. And Russia also has had a disproportional share of investment in the Austrian economy. Austria is also a country that, unlike most European countries, is not in NATO. Moreover, Austria has pursued a policy of neutrality since 1955. The Austrian position on neutrality has actually hardened and been bolstered by the war in the Ukraine. Thus, Austria has sort of pursued a divergent path from that of Finland and Sweden. The position of Austria adopted by the Austrian Radical Right Freedom Party, which is one of the most powerful and the oldest radical right party, differs from that of all other parties and is an extension of the positioning of the Austrian Freedom Party in domestic politics by embracing an anti-systems approach. So while all other major Austrian parties have long supported maintaining good relations with Russia for economic and for geostrategic reasons, the Austrian Freedom Party has stood out for seeking closer ties with Moscow for ideological reasons. The Austrian radical right regards Moscow and the Putin government in particular as an effective constraint on what it deems a liberal cultural and economic agenda pursued by the European Union and the United States. The Austrian Freedom Party not only defended the Kremlin's annexation of the Crimea in 2014, but it has even signed a cooperation agreement with Putin's United Russia Party in 2016. The agreement is currently suspended, but it has not been terminated. Yet while the Austrian Freedom Party has been careful not to be seen as defending Moscow's aggression, it has instead resorted to a populist reframing of the conflict. In this reframing, the Austrian people are presented as the victims of national and Western political elites. And unique among the Austrian political parties, the Freedom Party claims that the policies towards Russia are counterproductive and have been decided without the consent of the people. The Freedom Party directs its criticism also at the Biden administration by claiming that Washington stands to gain the most from the conflict. The party insinuates that the true goal of the United States is to weaken Russia and make Europe even further dependent on Washington. And in doing so, the Freedom Party champions other actors in the European Union who challenge the bloc's common foreign policy towards Russia, such as Hungarian leader Viktor Orban. The Freedom Party further seeks to broaden its appeal by emphasizing Austria's traditional neutrality in military conflicts and by recalling the benefits of Austria's traditional economic relations with Russia. And in doing so, the Freedom Party can distinguish itself from all other parties. In the current political context, the Freedom Party is poised to gain power and influence. Multiple crises, Conservative Party under investigation, a government party under investigation, a weak mainstream opposition have all boosted a general desire in Austria for political change. The Freedom Party is currently in first place in the polls, and elections will be held either next year or possibly sooner. Support for the Ukraine among Austrians has remained lower than elsewhere in the European Union. Nonetheless, Russian atrocities and the Kremlin's general ineptitude in its political and military conduct have left their mark on Austrians. Instead, the Freedom Party has advocated an Austria First approach by proclaiming wanting to create a fortress Austria that forges a path independent of all other interests. The Freedom Party has to be careful not to overplay its hand.